Those are coming to the house. Don't you dare look at them.
I won't.
But,
Are they boxed?
Sometimes I think so.
They've been dropping stuff off, not even in boxes.
Really? Amazon really cutting back. You got to hit them with the, close your eyes and pick up the boxes if they.
Yeah. Amazon's pretty good. It's usually like the other vendors that'll just. I'll see a bag of blue jeans on his front stoop.
That's why it's easier for me to I wouldn't even risk it. I'm only buying stuff off Amazon, unless I'm physically getting it and bringing it home.
Yeah.
Plus, Amazon has everything.
Yeah,
they're a monopoly. I don't know how the hell we haven't considered that a monopoly yet.
I know.
Dad keeps telling me it's almost like he keeps forgetting. He's told me about this. He's like, I ordered this thing in the morning and it got back to us after church. I was like, okay, Dad, I get it. It's great. It's like the fourth time he's told me. So
we needed a spring for the garage and we couldn't find it at any of the stores. See, that's the problem. If you can't find it, they want you to shop at the stores. Well, that's great, but they never have the size or the color or the, in Dad's case, the size spring he needed.
Right.
So that's when I went online. I go, oh, they have it here. And he said, all right, no rush. I said, no, it's coming today by 8:00.
Which is crazy for it to come that fast. But they're doing something right over there.
That actually wasn't Amazon.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh.
That wasn't Amazon. No, it was Home Depot, direct from Home Depot.
Really?
We were prepared to go to the store and pick it up, but then Dad said, well, just ship it to the store. It's not a rush. I'll go pick it up when it gets to the local store. No, for free. They'll deliver it right to the house. You can go to the store.
As you can tell, I am exhausted, Mother. My eyes, I did not sleep well last night.
Why are you exhausted?
Just didn't sleep well. One of those situations. Too much on the brain, I was thinking about my gingerbread house that I did yesterday. I was like, whoa. Got like a cut or something back here.
It's keeping you up, Chris.
It's keeping me up. I was like, how did I win yet again? My cousin and I went to, I've never heard of this app, and they were toting it as if it was like this major app, her friend Gabby, called Schooled, Skool. And I was like, listen, I do a lot of stuff with software. I've never heard of this app. She's like, it's huge. She's right. It's like 27 on the App Store for social media stuff. It's basically like, it's Facebook, but it's designed to, it's more like Twitter, but it's designed to get everyone to meet up and see each other. So it was us and 15 other people. And then Jordan's friend Gabby is the ringleader. So it was us and 15 other people. Everyone was nice, but.
Yeah, I like that when you socialize.
Yeah, no problems with that. Some people, I said to Jordan, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, it's just some people are there because they just like meeting new people, and then there are people that have to be there because they don't have anyone else. And I'm like, oh, because they're just not social. So I always give them props for being able to jump on an app and drive 2 hours to go to this thing. It was basically anyone in North Carolina. They had someone drive 2.5 hours just to come to this thing. I was like, whoa, okay. But all different age groups. So, yeah, all different backgrounds.
Your video is lagging a lot behind your audio.
Yeah, the internet's, I think it's either Discord having a problem or my internet's been kind of bad here. I think it's because of all the construction that they're doing there. I think it has something to do with it. So hopefully by the end of the year, they'll have that. They have the foundation down, so it's just a matter of going up now.
So I wasn't understanding. It's an app, but yet you all were at this event. People all came to an event.
Right. It's like Twitter, basically. The app is to meet everyone, right? I'm in this area, and then someone sets up an event.
Oh, so through the app, they got together to do this. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a nice idea. I like that.
Yeah. So
2 hours, though. Wow.
Oh, it was. Yeah. The whole thing. We were there for 4 hours, I think. So we were there for quite a while. Your boy absolutely smashed the gingerbread house competition, even though it was really just everyone.
I believe it.
Yeah.
A lot of years of practice.
They were trying
Thanksgiving.
Oh, you'd be proud of me because I made do without tools. How you need you take the icing and it's supposed to be melted. I was like, I'm gonna have to knead this with my hands to get some, get it warm so that it goes, but it was more like a glue. It was impossible. And then I have this older lady next to me who's like, I made mine out of butterscotch. Actually made I was like, I'm screwed here. But she physically made her gingerbread with like a special cornstarch and whatever. Or no, I should say not cornstarch, because she gave me about an hour conversation about how she can't eat corn. Corn syrup. Shout out to Hannah if she hears this. But so the gingerbread, she didn't build it. She just made the parts and then like decorated it flat. So I think that's why I won.
Right.
You know, I think that's because I think if she put hers together, she would have been a winner. But everyone saw my multicolors and was like, he's a bro.
Obviously, that's the real skill in gingerbread, is actually making gingerbread house from scratch. I mean, that's how they used to do it. That's why it was so incredible to watch. You know, they do individual little bricks. They put the glue on to put the bricks on the house. Like, oh my God.
I was telling people, I was like, don't talk to me while I'm making my gingerbread. I was very antisocial. I was like, hey, no. But
I've never liked gingerbread that much as a kid. Like,
I don't think
cookies or anything. I'm not a big fan of it.
I don't mind. Like, I'll have one if I had to, gun to my head. But I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest fan of gingerbread in general. Like, gingerbread's just like some of those people. I would argue most of those people have never built a gingerbread house before. They were like, "Oh, I'll give it a try." They had no fucking clue what they were doing, Ma.
So it wasn't pre-built. You had to piece it together. You had to put the walls on.
Like how we do it for Thanksgiving. I didn't tell them my resume, you know.
No, ours is pre-built for Thanksgiving. I get them pre-built.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You don't. No. That's not true. You have to put the. Oh, you're right. But they give you like the little extra things. The gable and the rest is all built. This one I had to. I think Aunt Sue had an extra one, so she gave it to me, and I was putting that bad boy together. But I didn't. So we did this. This place was at a bar, right? So I'm already deep in it. I'm like, I'm gonna be number one. I didn't even think about, like, I was about to put icing on the table to stick it down. I was like, oh wait, let me put it on the box. Like that's how crazy I was. Mine didn't have a platform. Everyone else's had a platform. So I was like, how am I gonna MacGyver this? So I had to basically break my box, flatten it out, and then I was like, who the hell came up with this? Why would you not give me a base?
This is why I always had to get pre-built ones, because my sons, plural, had no patience putting a house together. So it started with the houses and everybody crying and complaining. Then I would get up early and at least build up as much as I could. Then two of you guys dropped off. You wound up staying in it. And then when we started getting the pre-built ones when they had them at Costco.
Because as you get older, the less my mom trusts me to build my own, to build it from scratch. But one of the ladies, the reason I said, like, most of those people have never done a gingerbread before. So when they were looking at mine, they were like, this kid knows what he's doing. One of the ladies across from me, her name was Alex, who's actually like right down the street from me. Shout out to Alex. She tried eating those jawbreakers and she almost broke a tooth. I heard the crunch. I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, I don't think you're supposed to eat this. I was like, yeah, guys, look at the expiration dates on these. They sell these like 10 years expired so that they stay. Yeah. Mine. Yeah. I'm taking the walls. I'm pushing them together, and the window cracked. So it cracked down the middle. I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to MacGyver this? So I had to sneak Jordan's. I took Jordan's a little bit, and it was like, little paste, because hers was a lot thinner than mine. Like hers was, I didn't have my tools. I didn't have my toothpicks. I didn't have this and that. I was screwed. Going into this. So.
Did you take a picture of it when it was all done?
Yeah, it's like the worst, by far the worst one we've ever done. Because I just didn't have the tools. Yeah, I'll send it to you. One second.
In the holiday spirit.
It was good.
Your Christmas card.
It was so blah. It was It was a very blah. There it is.
Merry Christmas from Chris in the institution.
Yeah, the mental institution. This is I'm sending it to you right now. Yeah, I can tell something's up with my internet because everything's very slow.
Oh yeah, you're lagging a lot.
Yeah. It seems fine on my end, but I can tell that it's slower than usual.
But you got to post it for your listeners.
I'll post a picture of it. Yeah, so the back side of it says Chris, because that's what I had to. It was just an empty plate. So they didn't even give me colors. You'll see. They didn't give me any colors to color with. It was just the white frosting.
Oh, that's boring.
I know. They gave me like little things to stick on, and you'll see.
Though, right?
Yeah.
You get the candies to put on.
Okay. No, not even. You'll see. It was the most boring, basic gingerbread house I've ever seen.
Hasn't come through, so your internet's really slow.
Well, I definitely. Oh, yeah, yeah. Something's up with my internet, I guess. But
Yeah, you're lagging a lot.
yeah, it's coming through.
Better fix that by the live one.
Yeah, really. It should be good by then. Better be. Otherwise, I'll be putting my fist to a wall. Anyway, but yeah, so that was my Saturday, because normally we do the podcast on Saturday, but it was just too crazy because then afterwards I had to go watch my grandmother while Aunt Sue and Uncle Jerry went to Tryon Palace, which I'm curious.
Did they enjoy it?
I don't know. I haven't talked to them. I have to ask them.
Oh, you didn't see them when they got home, or you left early?
No, I left early. We finished Chinese food and everyone was doing their own thing, so I was like,
Time to go.
I was like, yeah. Grandma was trying to.
Grandma say, "Get out."
Grandma was trying to. She was kind of falling asleep, so I was like, I guess Jordan can handle this. So she was bored, and then Jordan was doing her own thing. So that's about it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Nothing too crazy. And then today, what did I do? Today it's just really been editing and then news articles. So.
Well, I got our tree yesterday.
Whoa! Is it decorated yet?
That's what I did this morning. That was the marathon. Since I woke up, all I did was the tree. And I had to literally trim it down and you'll still see there's some errant branches that go which way. But it's too late. I told Dad I can't do it any later than the first Saturday in the month because they all get picked apart.
It's true.
And, I saw it. Oh, it looks nice, Chris.
Thank you. Considering I had nothing.
What are you talking about? You had red and green.
I had to steal that from Jordan. That was Jordan's, so I had to steal the.
Oh, because you didn't bring any supplies. She brought her own supplies.
No, hers came with multicolors. Mine did not. Mine was a cheap ass mofo.
Fair.
I know.
That doesn't make for fair competition. I don't like.
Well, it wasn't really a competition. Anyhow. I just liked. Just everyone would come over and be like, "Good job, Quish. Good job." That's what they would do. Good nice, for you. Thank you.
Show me the sticker.
Yeah.
Show me the sticker. The ribbon.
So, yeah.
So anyhow, I went and got to the tree farm. It was a lovely day for it. It really wasn't even that cold. But there literally was nothing. I found a tree. I go, all right, this one's nice. They weren't very full. Most of the full ones were taken. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of tall ones. But I said, all right, let me just walk down to the balsam firs and check out those. Because those, they tend to be fuller. But those are the ones that are pointy and they hurt. So by the time I came back, another family had taken my tree that I liked.
Whoa.
So, yeah. Well, it's fair. You don't claim a tree and walk around. So I should have just grabbed the first one.
I would have beat them up in front of their kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's an okay tree. We've had better. You'll see it. It's not as full as I would like. And it is a little painful, some of the branches. Not as bad as we've had.
That could be our last Christmas tree, and you dumb it down for us. That could be our last Christmas tree in that house. That's what you do? That's what I'm coming home to for my last Christmas?
From your mouth to God's ear. Yeah, I was like,
it's short. It's down. It's short. It's only a 6 foot
Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yeah. It's only a 10-foot tree instead of a 20-foot tree. What are you doing?
I couldn't even fit all the ornaments on because there just weren't enough. The boughs they're full, but they're not full enough. Oops. So, but I will say this, it was the easiest tree for Dad and me because remember last year we're putting the blocks up to level it and don't touch it. It's going to tip. This one literally stood straight up and,
Have we ever had a tree fall? Have we ever had one fall in the house?
We did. It was like one of the first years Kitty came.
Missy.
And we started doing the bungee after that. So we bungee it to the door just in case. But like I said, this was pretty straight. Oh, and that was back when we had the rotating stand. Now we have the rebar. So it's a fairly sturdy stand. But I learned my lesson because, I knew what to look for. It's just there literally weren't enough trees anymore. They'd already been. I mean, we're only 2 weeks away, so you got to go that first week. My advice to everybody: you got to go to a tree farm. Go early.
I want to see if Missy goes right under that tree when she gets home. You'll have to tell me. They put her down.
She does like it.
She goes right under the tree. It's all the lights and stuff. Cat's just like the glittery lights and shit.
I don't know if it's that or the smell. I mean, she was like, she wouldn't touch the stuff. She would just hover underneath there in the back. I think the water she played with, but
that or she knows that no one's gonna go down there. No one's gonna try and grab her.
Well, I was gonna put the train up this year. Remember how we used to have a train when you guys were little? The Lionel train.
One last time.
I pulled out the basement. Well, not so much that, but to make sure it's not rusted and ruined. I'm like, why am I storing this thing if it's falling apart? But then I thought about it, I'm like, oh, the damn cat's coming. I can't put that. She'll wind up electrocuting herself.
You gotta
So
do the ceiling based one. You gotta do the one
yeah,
that hangs from the ceiling.
please,
That'd be pretty cool.
not this year. A little, it's they complain all the time, but it's just I have too much stuff in a small house. It's just too crammed with stuff.
Guys,
I gotta know where to go with it.
remember, guys, it's a 10-bedroom house with 16
Oh,
bathrooms. It's crazy that my
get
mom
outta
says
here.
that. Small house, 8 bedrooms, 12 baths.
But I have to say,
Whatever.
some of the houses I've looked at, I looked at my Christmas decorations and I go, this stuff's gonna be lost,
Oh yeah, 100%.
which is fine,
The next
It's
house
just
is
too
like
tight
20
and clean.
bedrooms, and that's not an
Yeah.
exaggeration.
There's a few boxes of Christmas stuff I didn't even open. Like the last few years, I haven't even put it out because the cat was coming and I used to keep it on the floor. And I'm like, oh, she's just gonna tear it. I'm just gonna knock it over all the time. So I'm like, why bother? There's no space. We're tripping over it. So I stopped doing that. And yeah, so this year I couldn't fit all the ornaments either. So I left some of them in the bag. Less work putting it all away.
Right.
I'm done. But no, it's all done, decorated, trees up. I came back with the clippers and said, "Oh, how did I not see this branch just going off into nowhere's land? Clip that, you know."
They're just
They've
dying
already
in
started to
real
fall.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and I had to cob together the lights because I have a 100-foot light. 50 of them are out. 50 of them are working. But I still needed lights, so I wound up winding up 50 of them and tucking them into the tree
Oh.
and using the string. Yeah, it's a total cob job.
No,
Total cob
this
job.
is a lazy Christmas. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's a
Now, is this
lazy
I went
Christmas.
to the store to get lights. Try and find warm lights. Everything is just the wrong shade. So I was explaining that to Dad, and he saw the difference. Now all of a sudden he's like, "Enough with the LEDs. Get the incandescent. Like, they're too bright. I can't take the like."
I don't see Dad pulling out the word incandescent. I think Dad just says they're all lights.
Every time he hears me swear when the light strand goes dead on me because the fuse blows or something, should have gotten the incandescent. Why you get the
Shoulda
LED?
That's
God.
funny.
Anyhow.
All right, let's get this party started, Mother, because we just already wasted 20 minutes.
Yeah. I gotta end at a hard 5.
Oh, you
5
do?
o'clock.
Okay, good to know.
Well, it's Sunday.
Oh, that's right, for church.
We talked about social media. You want to start with my social media story about Australia?
We can. I actually had that one too, but you already had it, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah, I got a
we'll go
follow-up
by
to it
you. We'll
also.
go by you. One
So
second.
the Australian teenagers, they're trying to look more mature to avoid the social media ban.
I
They
saw
just started
this.
to ban 16 and under in Australia.
Officially.
It sounds like their intentions were good. The rollout is really bad. And I'd really like to know what the lady in that pink suit is looking at.
Yeah. The birds. The birds.
It looks like God is coming down to strike them with a bolt of lightning. So anyhow, all these young kids who are really, and some parents in the article who said this is ridiculous. It's never going to work, and people will get around it, as you know, if they really want to, they'll get around it. So
Well,
the kids
it's
are
not
frowning
even-
at the cameras.
That's the first thing that I wanted to say about this, because it's not even hard to do nowadays, because with VPNs, everyone has a VPN for something just because it's good to have. So this story almost goes to show how out of touch, like we always talk about how out of touch our politicians are, but it just goes to show that anyone in power is just completely out of touch. They're trying to blame the social media companies to crack down on 16 and under in Australia. It's like, okay, let's say I'm 14. All I'm going to do is get any VPN, turn it on, and then look at whatever I want to look at and say I'm in Uzbekistan or whatever, right? And
Well, that's kind of what they're saying.
yeah, there's
And
so
they-
many
they're
ways
using
around
ideas-
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're not even trying that hard. That's how they're mocking it. They
Yeah.
frown at the camera. It makes them look older. They're drawing in wrinkles to make
Yeah.
them look older. They're using their older siblings' ID if they look remotely like them. Even the parents are supporting their children in doing it, right? They're letting them do it through their accounts. They're urging discussing dangers versus banning them. So in other words, the parents' idea is, what you said, they use VPNs, their parents' account, they get new numbers using stock photos to make them look like
Yeah.
they're adults.
That's fair too.
Post that as their photo. But there's one young man in the article, his name was Noah, and he did have a point. He called the government lazy. They're lazy for banning kids and not going after the and the bullies that are on there.
Yeah, if it's that
So I
easy
think
to,
there's
I agree. That's a good
yeah,
point.
instead of penalizing the young kids, but and I have a counter article to that. That's the one about the
Yeah,
$8,000
we'll get to
detox
that one in a
camp.
sec. Yeah.
And there's some interesting things there from people who are in that industry, who have worked in the tech industry, social media, and their take on it. But he does have a point. I also think, though, we're letting the social media companies slide quite a bit because originally social media was not meant for kids. It was meant for adults. And
Yeah.
that's what
You had to
that
be 18 years old to sign up.
well, and it wasn't geared for children. Like it wasn't, nobody had to focus on, well, what about the pedophiles and what about the anonymous chat rooms? It was always like, you know what, you're an adult, you figure it out. Not realizing how many young children would be exposed to it so early.
Yeah.
And, it's like television. They had to have, and movies, you have to have rating system. You have to have some sort of control. Then you can let the parents decide. I
Yeah.
also think in that other article, especially when the younger ones, maybe not 14, 15, 16, but when they're really young, it's not social media's responsibility to be the parent, right? And it's not the
It's
government's
true.
responsibility to be the parent. If you're going to allow your kids to go on unchecked on social media, and I know that's not easy, but they make all sorts of apps and whatnot to control it to some extent. And these kids also brought up a good point. They're just making it easier for us to go on the dark web, which is
Yeah.
really
See,
bad.
I'm more of a, I'm, I'm becoming more and more of a proponent of you kind of have to just let natural selection happen. And what I mean by that is if a kid's going to post something stupid, that's on them. I don't give a, you can't protect them from doing stupid shit. The cream of the crop is going to be the ones that posted 5 or 6 times their whole life. Maybe. Like, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday. Like, if you're someone on Twitter who's posting every day, unless it's your job for some reason, but if you just have the free time to post every day, we got to do a
Mhm.
full life assessment. We got to read.
Right.
I don't care about your kids. I don't care about you posting about your kids, right? I don't need that
Right.
shouldn't be public. Why would any sane person post to a public forum, not to your friends, to a public forum what you're doing in your life?
Well, I
Right?
don't think that's the big concern.
It's not, but
The
I'm saying
concern of the groomers, the anonymous
you have to
chats,
stop using the
you
P
know.
word. That's another one of the banned words.
Oh, I can't
Yeah,
use
you
that
can't use.
word? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it's
Oh,
okay.
that's a
I'll
bad
block
word
that one.
too? Oh, come on. How convenient
It's
for social media to ban that word when it's a big
it's
problem
not.
for them.
It's the advertisers, mom, not the.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I take
not.
it back then.
Yeah,
Well, anyhow, for
I'll just block it.
for people going after kids, stalkers, can I
Yeah,
say
you could
that?
actually say
People who prey
pedo,
on
which is okay. You could say pedos.
Oh, I can say
Yeah,
pedo, okay.
it's very
Well,
strange
and
how it works.
predators of all kinds, but even bullies. I mean, the bullying can get very intense,
That's
especially
the
for
big one.
younger kids.
Yeah.
It's not so much, we had that discussion before. Kids are very impressionable. Things that you can tolerate as a 23-year-old, 24-year-old, and some of them can't tolerate it. You can't, you process differently when you're 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right.
And it is formative in a good way, but it could also be in a bad way.
That's why I'm starting to think of it this way. If you're gonna have a wild west of a social media, like where you have the freedom to say what you want no matter what it is and post whatever you want no matter what it is, you have to have a hard 18 and under or and over. Otherwise, if a kid gets his hands on that and as you said very impressionable, they see someone like Nick Fuentes who again, we'll get to him in a second, but you see that and you don't understand what he is, then you're going to say, oh, this guy's the biggest racist in the world. I like him. What? Now you have the impressionable 14, 16-year-olds who are on social media and thinking that's okay when they
Right.
don't understand the message or whatever. So that's why.
Hey, let me just say this. I mean, you could go something as simple as television. Growing up, you had family hour. Nobody could put any violence or smoking or swearing. You didn't even have swearing in TV when I was a kid, even
Right.
for the adult, before 9 o'clock because kids were assumed to be in bed by 8. Then you could start having the more mature shows at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11. Now you could put on any with streaming. Kids can see all sorts of stuff all day long, like in the summer when they're home. And to me, I'm like, it's the same thing with social media. There's nobody screening these TVs. A parent would have to go in and put locks on certain channels. But during the day, every channel has this stuff on it. Every channel. They run a movie, they're not censoring it like they used to for TV.
I think I think it also comes down to how like viewership or user base. So there was an app a long time ago that got shut down real quick, I believe. I don't know if it's still up, but it was Tinder, but for like high schoolers, right?
Yeah.
So I forget what it was called. Our cousin Daniel used to use it. I won't put that in, but I remember he showed it to me. I was like, this is a problem. It got
Yeah.
overrun by people that were in like by men in their 30s who were trying to pick up
Yeah.
high schoolers. So, and the problem
Right.
is they had no protections for it because they liked
Right.
having the users because then they get money
Yeah.
for those. They didn't give a shit. So
Right.
the one thing I do give the major social media companies, I don't want to say credit, but I guess a little bit of a pass, is you're literally managing 7 billion people, 7 billion users. To go through all of that country by country would be incredibly difficult. Now, usually you have like a Facebook America, you have a Facebook Indonesia, you have a Facebook China, whatever. But each one has different laws, and it's like, hey, we got gray areas. I think the problem is the gray areas, which you and I always talk about.
Yeah.
But I think on paper, it's a lot easier to ban everyone 16 and under than going after pedos who use fake accounts, VPNs, can do a really good job tricking people. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's a win-win in this situation. So I don't know what the answer is because kids are going to find a way around. I guess they know that they're going to find a way around, but they did make the rule. So that's on them at that point. So I think that's kind of what they're banking on.
Well, the unfortunate part is you used to be able to say, oh, hey, while my kid's in school, he's not on media
Mm-hmm.
or she's not on media. No cell phone allowed. They don't use computers in the classroom, blah, 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 blah. I know for 8 hours that day, they're at school. I don't have to worry about it. Well, we know that's not true, right? We know that has been true for a long time.
Right.
So I can't, as a parent, I cannot parent my kid while they're in school because they're allowed a phone. I may not give them a phone. Okay, fine. I don't give them a computer. Like, you know, from personal experience, Dad and I fought this for how long? They get around the phone, they get around the computer, and now the schools are handing them computers. They have computer lab and everything. So I can't control that. So you can't say, well, that's bad parenting that your kid's on social media. They have free reign in schools. And well, they're supposed to be doing English. Okay, well, let's get in the real world. If you give them a computer, they're not going to do English. They're not. They may have a computer. They're supposed to be doing it, but they're not.
Do you remember growing up, the big thing? I don't even know if they exist anymore, but they used to have proxies, and proxies were basically certain computers could be set up so that you couldn't have prox. Like if it was a gaming website, it would know, and you wouldn't be allowed to access that website.
Yeah.
So it's called proxies. Literally within like a week, we figured that shit out, like how to get around it. And I knew nothing about computers, and I was 8 years old. Like that's how fast. There's no stopping us. That we're gonna find a way.
No, but that's my point. The only way to control it, and I swear to God, you watch the pendulum swing. It started already with the cell phones, right? No more computers in school. So for the 8 hours they are there, the problem with that is now you force teachers to teach, and they're not going to like that because it's
Trickle
more
down
work.
systems, yeah.
Okay, it's much easier to say, watch this program or do this program at home. So now the burden's put back on the parents when the kid comes home. Now you and I both know there are not two parents in the household, right?
Yeah.
Both parents mostly are working. And when the kids are coming home, and again, we're talking the younger ones, right? Go do your homework. Well, I can put a lock on the computer. I can put a parental only password on there. But when the school says, but the homework, they need the computer to do the homework, right? This is what we've gone through as parents. And a lot of parents now, they don't want to, it's just too overwhelming because everything is all computer based. By design, it's all computer based. Is it the end of the world if kids don't have computers in school? No. Our generation was actually, we were educated much better than all of you, and we had no computers, right?
It's true. I do think though that now the other half of that, or the other side of that trickle down system, is you kind of have to get good with computers, otherwise you're too behind. So if you're someone that doesn't know how to use a computer, like I know people.
You know what? No, baloney. You don't. Everybody knows they can learn how to use a computer at home. Or you have one class for 1 hour a day using a computer. And that's it. Shut it down, open a textbook. we're gonna have the backlash soon. I just don't it's just impossible to control it, and how many more generations are gonna have to slide academically, socially? How bad must the depression get with children? How much bullying? And now we gotta worry about AI telling these kids to kill themselves,
Yeah.
right?
I,
This is becoming a real problem too, that nobody is controlling.
that's another one where I go, well, maybe the answer's not taking it away, but uh like this, I think that's more like when it comes to bullying, when it comes to all this AI stuff and junk, that's more of a social media issue than a computer issue. Right.
Sure, but when they're on the computer at school supposedly doing work, you know it. They're video gaming. They're online now. They're talking to people they're not supposed to, which is, in all fairness, hard on teachers. You
Sure,
can't teach. So they throw their hands up.
but that
Then the
goes
kids
back to
come home and the
my
parents can't monitor it. So the parents throw their hands up. No, and the social media companies say, well, we don't need to be responsible. Why do we have to do this? Because it's free speech, blah, blah, blah. And
well, yeah.
everyone's throwing their hands up.
I do, but this is where I kind of go back to the weak versus the strong, right? The ones that are going to waste their time. I almost see it as a social experiment. If you're at school and you're on social media all day, I know women who are my age who sit on social media all day and they're bums. So
Yeah.
again, it's not an age issue. To your point, they're more impressionable at 16, 17, 14, whatever. But if they can't figure out what's the priorities here, like, hey, maybe my grades are failing because I'm not paying attention in class. Maybe I'm failing all my classes because I'm on Instagram all day instead. Like, at some point, they got to wake themselves up. We can't take action on that. And I wouldn't
Well,
expect Mark Zuckerberg to take action on that, too.
hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit. Oh Ye, who was full of kids in school who would be gaming all day.
Yeah.
I don't know this as a parent. I'm told you're in a private school where they're monitoring things. I'm assuming my kids are doing what they're supposed to do. So whose responsibility is it? The teachers? Were they not watching you? Nobody. I've said this before. Freshmen in high school, which as a parent, that's when we started to see the computers come in. They don't have the maturity to have a computer in school.
Sure.
I said it back then.
True.
I still say it today. And it's proving its point. Sophomore year, they don't have it. Junior, senior year, well, they need it to get ready for college. Okay, great. So fast forward, now we got a generation of Ivy League kids who are saying, well, we don't know how to read. We can't read. We're not Ivy League. We can't do basic math. No kidding. Now, to your point, Chris, you should be able to self-monitor that. Think about yourself in ninth grade. You didn't have the maturity to self. And
100%.
any kid, it's that level of discipline is unusual for kids in general. Your average kid. Sure, there were those kids who were like, oh, I'm going to go read 10 books. Wonderful. God bless them. They're all running the world now. But the average kid, and even you're saying it, there are adults that don't have that discipline.
Yeah.
How do you expect a 10-year-old to have that level of discipline?
You need someone to have because to your point, like my 9th and 10th grade was all computer based, right? At a higher end school, I guess you would call it, because it's a preparatory school. Then going to my other school, my junior, senior year, I was a transfer. I mean, significant difference because I didn't have computers all the time. So
right.
There's something to that. And that's kind of the wake up call of like, oh, maybe the computer was the problem, which obviously because I was playing games. But I feel like it's a lot easier to go. I think it's a lot easier to say, maybe I shouldn't play video games anymore in class. One, when it's taken away, but maybe I shouldn't do that. I think it's a little harder with social media because it's kind of what we call doom scrolling, which is just mindless, just going through. So, but like with like, ready?
Right,
Let me make an argument. Can I do a slight? I'm going to do a slight argument here, though. Right? There's a lot of studies on video games and how it improves the mind, how it improves motor dexterity, certain functions, reaction times. Have we ever seen any studies on the benefit of social media? Like what, staying more involved in people?
And as a matter of fact, they're starting to see more studies showing it's creating more depression in people. On the fact you get in pedos, stalking, and all the crap we went through with you kids growing up with, bullying this and stop anti-bullying campaigns. So what do? They put in the hands of kids the worst bullying device possible.
Yeah.
to the point where parents can't even control it. And sadly, we've had young children who have killed themselves because they've been so bullied. And I got to assume the parents, were unaware or they were monitoring it, but who would ever think their kid would kill themselves over
Yeah.
something on their hand in their room? We used to worry about kids at school beating your kid up. My brother had fights growing up. Every guy had a fight, literally a punch down, drag out fight through sports or just fighting in the hallway. It was rite of passage. That was bad enough. Not to the point when you were done, you guys got along and you moved on, right?
Yeah. Now
Now
you
it's
get it at
bullying to the
home.
point where kids are killing themselves. That ain't
Yeah.
good. And I don't know the answer because it's one of two things. Either we get rid of altogether, which that doesn't seem realistic, right? Meaning we get rid of it until they reach a certain age, like what Australia tried to do,
Which
and
is
they're just doing
failing
social
already.
media. So if you're not going to go cold turkey, I don't know how you do it piecemeal, right? Or we got to have guardrails here. And for all the AI technology we have out there, I find it hard to believe that we can't figure out a system on social media that controls the messaging to a certain age group.
Right.
And as a parent, if you want your 5-year-old exposed to adult content, I'm telling you right now, that's pretty messed up. But,
Yeah.
a lot of parents, including myself, want to be able to control that.
Yeah. All right, let's change it up just because we already did quite a bit. Now, I do want to we're going to kind of pivot a little bit here. We're going to go right to the Nick Fuentes interview, speaking of radical people.
You never sent me that. You know that?
Oh, did I
I was
not?
going to watch it and you never sent it.
Oh, you couldn't Google Pierce Morgan? It's like the first thing on the internet.
Oh,
I think it was
sorry.
like the number one trending video on YouTube for a little bit. But
All right. Well, I'm familiar with him. You told
yeah,
me some of it.
yeah, you know Nick Fuentes. This normally we wouldn't talk about this guy, but this is where we potentially get canceled before we even start, mother. Before we really get our start. We obviously have to be a little careful what we say here in the sense of I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that Nick Fuentes says, and I know you don't either. I think what I got out of this interview is, well, first off, I just want to say this is an article that I pulled. It says he's a Holocaust denier. He literally talks about on there how he's not a Holocaust denier, and he's like, yeah, it's probably the amount that they say with deaths. So,
Well, this is the Times of Israel. You have
yeah.
to. You always
Oh,
have to
good
look
call.
at
I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Okay.
I just grabbed one because I should have just grabbed the article, but I just needed something. But I think what I got out of this, and you and I talked on the phone about it, it kind of showed me the old versus the new news. Like it almost showed me more so why Nick Fuentes' viewer rate is going through the roof and Pierce Morgan's is going down, or he's not attracting the younger audience. I think what I saw there, and again, I do wish you'd watched it, so that is on me. What I saw there was Pierce Morgan doesn't quite get it, right? He doesn't understand what goes on. So they talked about a bunch of different things, but the one thing that I got out of Nick is he's exactly who he says he is, in the sense of I do not agree with the stuff he says, but I get some of his points or what he's trying to convey. I think the biggest one that I saw, which I have to agree with, is when he brings up the black on black violence or black crime. And they talk about the shootings. Now, Nick Fuentes is in Chicago. And for those of you that don't know, like I have a friend in Chicago who she tells me how bad it is there. And I hear some stories where it's just gunshots outside. And Pierce Morgan is like, oh, well, I live in London. And it's like, you guys don't even have guns. So that I do agree with Nick on, because the crime, and the reason why he really made Pierce Morgan look bad was he was talking about, Pierce Morgan tried to say, do you know how many school shootings there are and how many are done by white kids? And it's like, well, you have to do per capita. And he was purposely ignoring the per capita, right? Because the stats wouldn't line up for him. So
Right.
I think if you were to give a winner to this debate, I would argue that it's Nick Fuentes in this situation. But tell me if I'm rambling. But obviously, as I said, there are some things that he said in there that I just can't get behind, which is the whole, I think one of the big things that he hit on in this interview was Hitler is cool. And I can't see any metric where you would consider Adolf Hitler cool. I'd have to sit down with him and ask him what his definition of cool is. But that's where you kind of lose me a little bit, because that's the part where I get what he's saying when it comes to the stats, statistics on crime, why he feels a certain way. But there's certain things he says that I just can't get behind, which is this. But I understand why a young, impressionable kid would see that and go, oh, this is my kind of people, which isn't a good thing. And I think, as I said, I think Nick says things for shock value, for certain things, to get views, whatever, that can be ugly for the younger generation to see.
Yeah.
So I think that's also the other thing that I didn't understand, like Piers Morgan wasn't getting, was Nick Fuentes talks about how his dad used to make kind of a racist joke about an Applebee's or whatever. Like some saying like, oh, we don't go to that restaurant because it's a black restaurant. Right. Mm-hmm. And again, you need more context. And I do think it was kind of messed up because Piers Morgan actually doxes his dad like it's fair game or something. It's like, hey, the dad's not a public figure. Nick is a public figure. You can't use the dad's full name. And it's like, well, hold on. That might have just been a joke that his dad said. That doesn't make him inherently racist. And I think that's where, again, I agree with Nick on the fact that I'm tired of hearing that every joke, you must be a racist. Like, I know friends that make jokes that I know are not racist. So that's just my...
I think Nick Fuentes, he's a shock jock, right? We know his approach is to do it in a shocking way, his message, and he's going to say things that are shocking. But since I didn't read that one, I posted something to you guys that I read about white guilt is dead. Gen Z is done apologizing for history they didn't write. And I think Nick Fuentes is tapping in, and others too, maybe not as incendiary as he is, but tapping into a reality that was handed to them on a civil platter by the DEI liberal world, right? Including the Piers Morgans of the world in London with this woke mentality. I'll quote it. They've been blamed for colonialism, slavery, inequality, systems they didn't build and never benefited from. In classrooms, on Netflix, and video games, and HR training sessions, and political speeches, the message has been constant. If you're white, especially if you're male and straight, sit down, shut up, and feel bad about it. Mm-hmm. So when somebody like a Nick Fuentes stands up and says, you know what, let's talk about black on black crime. Oh, no, you don't have a right to do that. You're a straight white male. You know nothing. Yeah. I'm from London. You know, I may be a straight white male, but you shouldn't be talking about that. Well, you know what? That generation is saying, yes, I have a right to say it. And just because I'm a white person, I have a right to bring up the fact that there might be a problem with black on black crime. If I'm wrong, let's debate it.
Yeah.
That's all they're saying.
But the statistics show otherwise. Like, this is the problem with Nick. And I mean, dealing with someone like Nick. When it comes to statistics, I have to believe he's right in the sense of the stats that I've seen tend to match his. Now, do I think, per what he said, all black people should be in prison? Absolutely not. But clearly, and I don't think he believes that because he has black friends. And I know he has African-American friends. The problem with that is when the statistic is correct, and we talked about this, I think, on the last podcast. It's tough to look the other way when you have a statistic jumping in your face, like when we were talking about the Somalis the other day in America that were taking advantage. Yeah. And then you find out it's an overwhelming amount. So that's why when you see that and then you look at Nick and you go, okay, this guy might have something here. That's why he's growing in popularity and Piers Morgan is dropping in the younger community. I'm sure if you looked at his demographics, and I can actually check it later, I would be very surprised if his demographic is under 40 on YouTube, right? So that's why that's why when I look at Nick, and I'll bluntly say this, I would love to have a conversation with Nick just to understand his mindset, but like I have tons of questions for him. But I can't get behind a lot of the stuff he says on face value, but then when you look at the stats that he has, where he gets them from, some of them are government statistics.
Black on black crime has always been a problem. We know that from Heather McDonald. Heather McDonald's an expert on it. She said it forever. She's a white woman, and the liberal media, vilified her. How dare
Yeah.
you say that? Because of statistics. It comes right from the crime stats. So nobody wants to look at that. And it got so bad at one point that someone had posted, I don't remember who it was. I think it was it wasn't Chicago, but some police docket that showed the mugshots of all these individuals listed as white people. They were obviously not white people. And that's how bad it has gotten, where you can't even trust the stats anymore because they're trying to manipulate the narrative. But now somebody like this individual and others who come out and say, and he's doing it in an incendiary fashion, right? He wants people to listen to him so that they can at least say, hey, you're wrong and how dare you? But I don't know him, and I'm not saying I agree with him either. But there are certain things that the younger generation that he's part of. And it does go on to even say, I'll find it while you're talking, but it's a backlash now. This is what you get. You're going to get extremes on the other side now.
The left created a Nick Fuentes, right? That's the mentality. But man, how do I put this? Oh shoot, what was I going to say? Oh, the one thing I will give him, and this is something that I actually do respect, because you don't see this very often in political figures. When they bring up clips of things that you've said in the past.
Yeah.
And most people will go, well, what I actually meant was, and let me try, and you don't get the context. One thing I will give Nick Fuentes is he does not back down from things that he said. Because there's a hilarious, it got clipped. It's so viral right now. But he's like, it's literally a clip saying, all black people should be in jail. Women need to shut the fuck up. And something about the Jews. And it takes a pause. He goes, everything I said there is true. I listen, it's funny. I do respect it, though, for not backpedaling on something you believe. And although I don't agree with him on any of it, very rarely will you ever see someone double down on something like that under pressure, under the microscope or telescope of a lot of people watching. So, yeah,
so maybe he's wrong. You don't agree with him, but at least you know where he comes from. At least you know where he stands, and you can argue it and say you're absolutely wrong in your approach. If you have your reasons why you say these things, right? I mean. Yeah. He's sort of passing a judgment based on some facts that I can agree with, but maybe his answer to it is not necessarily a positive way of doing it.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
This is said, some are becoming openly conservative, others are just refusing to play along, and yes, some are going too far, getting pulled into genuinely hateful ideologies, not because they started with hate, but because they were pushed there by a culture that told them they had no place unless they apologized for existing. Mm-hmm. And he's the other side of it. He goes, I'm not apologizing for this. This is what I'm going to say, and you're not going to make me apologize for it. We may say it's not suitable in society, right? But he's not going to apologize. That's not right either. But that's what they pushed him to, right? That's what they're basically saying for this age group. That's the real danger. If you push hard enough and you shame deep enough and you silence long enough, you'll create a backlash you cannot control.
Yeah.
And the liberals and the woke, I don't like the pendulum swinging all the way to the extreme, but I do appreciate the fact that there are individuals now saying, you know what, this is what I believe, and if you don't like it, too bad.
Right.
If we believe in free speech, it's free speech. We talked about this before. I don't believe in hate speech. If you want to stand up there and tell me how wonderful Hitler was, I'm going to walk away because you're ignorant.
Right.
You're ignorant.
That's like the one thing I don't think anyone's really going to get behind. But also, that to me, and I'd love to ask him, is more like a shock factor than it is actually believing it. But then if I'm a 16-year-old watching that and don't know world history, you'll go, oh, okay, I guess Hitler was a great guy because I like Nick Fuentes. So that's just not, like, that's where I have to draw my line on where Nick Fuentes, where he and I would be different. But as I said before, when it comes to the stats that he is using, I can see how he gets a lot of his points. And a lot of those stats are undeniable. So, and they're from government sources. that's why when I see this, like if you were to declare a winner in the quote unquote debate, which it wasn't really a debate, but I would say Nick's the one that's gonna blow past Piers Morgan in the sense of viewership, in the sense of fan.
Well, you're
whatever.
looking at two different generations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Piers
Nick
Morgan
says
is
that
the
best.
old school. He comes
Exactly.
from that time frame of don't step on toes because it could mean I get canceled.
Right.
It means I won't have a job. So
Mm-hmm.
you gotta, and you make it sound like, well, I'm trying to be unbiased by weighing both sides. Piers Morgan isn't always unbiased.
Yeah.
He may act that way, but he has his own agenda too. Nick Fuentes has his agenda. So yeah, I mean, if we don't start, if enough young people don't push back, he's the, Nick Fuentes is the extreme, but he's giving other people an opportunity to say, all right, yes, black on black crime exists, but no, not every black male has to go to prison.
Right.
In the past, people would say, oh, you're racist and shame on you for even saying it. Well, now we're getting to a point, thankfully, to say, you know what? It is a statistic.
Right.
It is a problem.
I think, okay.
Maybe you, Piers Morgan, will be dead
Yeah.
you're out. You're old school. The younger people have to navigate this now and figure it out going forward.
I think if I was to kind of sum Nick Fuentes up in a statistical sentence, right? Just because he's a man of stats. And this might get us canceled based on who listens to this. Basically, a lot of his sayings are, if you were to walk past a white person or a black person and you were playing statistics, what are the odds something happens with one or the other? That's a lot of what he's based on. And one thing I also did agree with him on in the interview is he literally says to Piers Morgan, like, you're on the way out anyway. You're the old generation. Now we are the people that you've pushed to the side. The reason I exist is because you're not doing your job right or the proper way, in a sense. And now we're ready to take the mantle and continue this forward. And I have to agree with him. Just based on the numbers of how big Nick is getting, a lot of people agree with him on things. Even in the black community, they agree with him. So that's a sign as well.
I don't know. Well, hold on. I don't know that agree is the right thing.
Sorry.
They may appreciate the fact that he's bringing the stats. Yeah. His solution may not be what they agree with. True. But they know they definitely don't agree with the other side that's telling him you need to apologize and you're the fault and you're the problem. That's not the answer either.
Right.
So they're turning away from the old school mentality of the white guilt and the, shame on you for opening your mouth and we're going to censor you and hate speech, even, anti-Jewish, whatever. That's not the answer for them. So their alternative is somebody like the Nick Fuentes. But there are others who are like Nick, but they don't get the shock value. They don't go on these talk shows because they don't come out and say a thing like Hitler's cool, right?
Which is crazy.
Because they know Hitler's not cool.
Yeah.
So to some extent, Nick is getting his platform out there. Yes, he has his podcast, whatever he does, his site. But they also like to talk to him because he is somebody who has that shock value.
Right. I also think
Piers Morgan look edgy,
Yeah, I also think that. So the other one that I would say is a tough one to get behind, but I get his point is when he says, I think his definition of cool is anyone who goes against the grain, which not the best definition. But Piers Morgan has a friend on who sends a message to Nick and talks about his mother was like tortured in the camps and his father was whatever, and Nick goes, who is this guy and why do I care? I'm tired of hearing about it. And in a sense, I don't want to say I agree. But again, to your point, I don't agree, but I get what he's saying. That stop pushing it down my throat. Now, that's a point in history that we should remember because it's history so that we never do it again. Because I'm very anti-taking down.
Because it's happening again.
Yeah.
It is happening again.
Yeah, sure.
Literally happening again. And that's why it's important. If anything, in Nick Fuentes' face, if he sits there, why do I care? I'll tell you why. There was a beautiful young model up in Toronto, Canada, who got in an Uber and started talking to her friend on Facebook about some Israeli party or something Israeli. And the Uber driver, who was a Muslim woman, pulled over and told her, get out. I don't drive Jews.
Okay. Well.
That's Hitler 101. And that's how it starts. And the problem with this Uber driver was the woman filed a complaint. And they're like, "Oh, we'll reimburse you." She goes, "That's not the point. This driver was anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
This person shouldn't be driving. Okay, it's here now." And for Nick Fuentes, I'd say, you know what? It's not cool. It was never cool. And why should you care? Because it's starting all over again. Because the younger generation is now being hearing from, recent years how it's cool and it's okay. And you've had government officials say it's okay to be anti Semitic. It's starting again. And that wasn't even that long ago. And compared to, say, slavery and whatnot, anti-Jew versus anti-black in terms of slavery, that's more recent. That was in the 1930s and 40s.
Gotcha. Well, let's get your point. Let's just segue because we just did another half an hour of that. I do want to talk about the 2 shootings that just happened. So there's the one at Brown University. Now, I don't know if you saw the news today, but there's that big one in Australia today. Did you see this one? I don't know if you checked the news.
Did I see it? I might have.
In Bondi?
Sadly, I just looked at a lot of headlines and like the shooter did this, shooter did that. I don't know which was referenced.
So let's talk about the American one first. So this was a school shooting at Brown University. So unfortunately, 11 students, or 2 dead, and then it's like 8 in critical condition. Now, again, I'm not laughing at the situation, but this school had 815 surveillance cameras. Not a single one can find this guy, right? They now have someone in custody, I believe, that they think might be the guy. But also, you're telling, like, they've been bombarding the president, like, hey, do you not know what's going on in this school? Because even she's like, I don't know what happened. But all these shootings keep happening. And again, I don't think it's a gun violence issue. It's obviously crazy people. But I'm still baffled by the fact that you have 815 plus surveillance cameras and not a single one caught this guy. That something about that doesn't seem right. And I'm not going down the conspiratorial route. It's just like, are we that bad at surveillance in this country that we can't get one guy who allegedly screamed Allah Akbar as he starts shooting students?
Was that the case at this? I didn't even know that.
Well, this is another thing I want to talk about because we saw this today too. So this Australia shooting, I'm going to segue real fast to the Australia shooting, right? These Jewish people are celebrating Hanukkah, and then 2 obviously Muslim guys, and I'm going to say obviously because like they're yelling Allah Akbar in the videos, start firing and kills 11 Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah, right?
Yeah.
Now, the first thing that happens is every news article starts posting shit because they need the first view. The amount of changed information I've seen in just the last 4 hours since it literally got brought to everyone's attention in the world about 4 hours ago. The amount of information I've seen changed is insane because, and this goes back to social media, the news, these outlets, they just want to be the first person to cover it. They don't care if the information's right or not. So one of the guys they said was this guy's an absolute hero. I should grab his name, but he comes up behind one of these guys and he just grabs the gun from him and points it at him and doesn't shoot, which is crazy. After seeing absolutely saved a bunch of lives, but the guy gets off because he didn't want to get shot. Grabs another gun and starts firing into the crowd again. So honestly, maybe he should have shot that guy, but
maybe, but then he'd be in trouble.
Maybe. I don't know how Australia works, but I think he would have gotten a pass for that one. I think anyone would have.
Oh, I don't know. It's Australia.
Sure.
They got their issues.
Anyway, but they said that this guy was also a Muslim who stopped other Muslims. Turns out the guy's just a white guy with 2 kids who's been like a business owner in the area for 30 years. So we're spinning some narrative here that I'm not liking, right? Now, I was wondering, the next thing I questioned was, what are the gun laws in Australia? Because I thought they had pretty strict gun laws. Like, you couldn't own a lot of things. So I looked it up, and the rifles that these guys had were like, you could see when they took the guys down, they actually did end up shooting and killing one of them, and the other one's arrested. You can see slugs on the ground. So he had some kind of bolt-action shotgun, which I didn't even know I don't think you can legally own. So now we're going to have I think, if anything, this is like the gun violence. They've banned this type of gun, but why does this guy have this gun? So it's just
Because
for
we know gun bans don't work. I
yeah,
mean, the bad people will always get a gun. That's why they're ridiculous. And in London, oh, well, nobody has guns. Even their police don't have guns.
which
Only
makes
a
no
select
sense.
few have guns. So what do you have? You have machete attacks. Now we have acid attacks around the world. And eventually somebody will get the guns in there. And I'm sure there are guns in the UK. We may not hear many about that, but yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous to say. And that's another reason why, as Americans, we don't ban guns. You have the right to defend yourself, to protect yourself. Um, this is obviously, again, to back to the Nick Fuentes point, it's Hanukkah. These were attacks on, I don't know about Brown University, but Bondi Beach was a Hanukkah celebration, right? It
Hmm.
was Jewish people celebrating. It appears to be terrorist related towards, the Jews.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know yet about Brown University, but in answer to you, when you said about, oh, did you see these things? I have to tell you, I'm not saying that I've become
desensitized.
cold to them or insensitive is a better word. You're right. It's more like, all right, here's the first story. I'm not going to read it yet. Let's give it 5 stories because then I'll finally start to hear the truth.
Truth. Yeah, and unfortunately now we're getting like, take the Charlie Kirk shooting for instance. We're still getting more and more information on that. Candace Owens has been bringing to light more and more information, and I don't know how true it is, but it just goes to show that some of these stories are not exactly what they seem. Like, I'm starting to believe more and more of Candace Owens just based off a lot of the facts that she has. I don't know if they're exactly accurate, but there's definitely something sketchy about the Charlie Kirk shooting at this point. Anyway,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we all say that. And
yeah,
that's why we never really know. And we go back to saying, at least you could say, well, if it comes from the FBI or the CIA, it must be true. We can't even say that
yeah,
anymore as citizens. We don't even know that.
yeah.
Right.
But for this shooting, there's something like, luckily there were so many videos of it, not just news coverage, people posting to social media.
Which one you talking about?
The
Brown or Bondi
Australia,
Beach?
they don't, Mom, they
Australia.
have nothing on this guy in Brown. Nothing. Not a video, not a social media post, nothing. So,
Well, sometimes I will say this, they don't have cameras everywhere. And oftentimes, I don't know enough about the shooting, but sometimes they do it by design because they know there are no cameras to be picked up.
100,
That's
800,
how
and
they choose their
815
location.
would be pretty tough. And it's an on-campus shooting. So they have,
But you said there was no camera. It was behind some building, is what I read. It took place behind some building, which now that you're telling me about cameras leads me to believe was it an area that he knew there were no cameras,
right.
no
Yeah,
security footage that could
honestly,
get him?
I'm kind of getting to the point where I think these public colleges have to be more private. And I don't mean funding wise, but I mean no one on the outside. If you're not a student or a professor, you're not coming in. I think that's a factor. But either
Well, we
way,
used to have that at my university because it was in New York City, in the Bronx. And not, I mean, I'm not telling you we had heightened security by any means, but you had to show an ID to get on
right.
campus, a student ID. Could you fake one? Sure, by today's standards, you can. But you knew that it was somewhat, they were going to look, they profiled. Let's be
Yeah,
honest. They profiled. They knew certain people should not be coming on campus. And by today's standards, that wouldn't be allowed anymore because it's
which is
racist. You can't
crazy.
do that. So what's the answer? Everybody gets to come on campus or nobody. So your idea is good, but unfortunately, we're not living in that as society. And when you want that, like live in a gated community, oh, everybody's up in arms. You can't have that.
Right.
Only the elite liberals are allowed that. So Brown University is, you know, I need more to the story. I need to know who this person is
Right.
because it's not a conservative university. It's not a religious one by any means. It tends to be very open
Yeah.
and very
Well, they
liberal
had
university.
multiple students claim that the person was yelling Allah Akbar while shooting. Right now, again, that's just a student claim, but it's multiple students who are in the vicinity, maybe. But then
Right.
you have another, and you know what's crazy is Candace Owens is like, hey, in 2 weeks there's going to be a terrorist attack, and then this thing happens in Australia where these two guys who, again, everything I say here is alleged because we don't know exactly what's right and what's wrong yet. But apparently, the guy that I forget which one it was, the one that they shot and killed or the one that's under arrest, came from Tel Aviv the night before, right? Literally on a plane. They have his flight, came in from Tel
Mhm.
Aviv. And then they're also yelling Allah Akbar as they're firing into
Well, let me just say this though. I don't know Candace Owens. I have been following her. I remember her when she was originally red pilled. Nobody
Yeah.
knew her, and I was saying her
Yeah.
name like, oh, I saw her on Ruben show. Um, there's a terrorist attack every week,
It's true.
literally around the world. So it's very easy to say that. I mean, there were 2 Americans who were just killed in Syria, right?
Yeah.
That was a few days ago. It's not getting us not a lot of attention. Oh, maybe because of these attacks. Wonder if that's coincidental that it's taken that story off the map when the president was saying, Pete Hegseth was saying, we will hunt you down. We will find you for what you did. And, all of a sudden now everybody's attention's on something else and nobody cares about, or maybe they don't, but hopefully the War Department does. Yeah, and it's right at Hanukkah, and it sounds like it was definitely a religious related one
Oh,
on Bundy Beach.
100%.
I don't know about Brown University. I don't know the details yet. I don't know if it was a
No one
gathering
does.
of people for Hanukkah. I don't know. But it's interesting if it was Jewish students doing some sort of celebration, and if it was a Muslim student who, or somebody pretending to be a Muslim student,
Right.
or just somebody who walked in off the street who was crazy. But to your point, these universities have to do a better job. If you're going to let individuals protest against a group of people and think that you're going to have those unfortunate people have to hide out, as we recently witnessed with the pro-Palestinian people, and now people are suing these universities saying, you have a duty to protect all the students there. So if this was something that, to your point, 850 security cameras and nobody has a picture of this guy
Right.
or woman.
All right. Let's I'm trying to do, let's see. Which ones? I'm going to have to scrap some of these just because we're already about an hour. James Woods.
I didn't see your articles today.
I sent them to you on Discord. Innovative wood bank? What is this? In Buffalo that provides free firewood for people in need.
Yes,
Oh, that's nice.
I like this story. Yeah, for
That's
Christmas.
what we did. We helped those in
yeah.
need.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab water while you explain this one.
In Wyoming, okay? Their message was people shouldn't have to choose between heating and eating, which is very nice. They give away 1/7 of a cord of wood per week. It's about $250 per cord, which is usually costs about $1,000 for a cord of wood. They launched this originally during the pandemic when they realized that people needed, they were struggling to heat the houses and eat basically. So they started with 3 semi-loads of logs, and they paid people to come and split them, right? And then proceeded to donate it. So the names of the people are in the article, but there must be like a logging company. They had extra wood. They would donate it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would come. Okay. Then the first person that they did this, who showed up, was, it touches your heart. It was a one-legged veteran, a veteran who lost his leg, who he cried when they gave him the wood. Because this is how these people heat their homes. Wyoming is really cold.
Yeah.
In the winter. Many of them have in-house heat fireplaces in addition to heat. Eventually, a splitter processor was donated, making the process a lot easier. So, and then over the years, many locals started to volunteer, including teenagers, young people, which was nice. They serve about 845 families each year. 73% are retired, 33% are disability, and 35% of them are vets. And, I read this story, and I think it's great. Love it. They even said there's plenty of wood, and we're very eco-conscious when we do it because it's part of Wyoming where there's this whole mountain of wood and whatnot. But I watched this, and at the same time, I read these stories about Somalians who are ripping off our country, who are not even citizens, to the tune of $1 billion in one state.
$2 billion.
And, yeah. And, we have people in America helping Americans and veterans and disabled people with wood to heat their home.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. Let me tell you what's not amazing about certain veterans. Have you seen this? Freaking Dan Crenshaw, way to be the most hated person on the world right now. Dan, something always threw me off about this guy. I don't like him that much, but this one really put the nail in the coffin for him. He tried to, Sean Ryan, you've definitely seen his stuff. I've sent it to you. Let me show you a picture.
Probably, yeah. Sounds familiar.
Podcast. Yeah. Images. This guy. Sean Ryan.
Yeah, I think he looks familiar. Yeah.
He's done Rogan a couple times, I think. He always has veterans and stuff on. So a long time ago, he did a podcast, and he didn't even mention Dan Crenshaw's name. He was just like, I know this politician who has a crazy lavish party. He hires Steve Aoki. He hires a bunch. He has all these like celebrities at his party catered and everything. And he was just questioning, how could a politician who makes $170,000 a year be able to afford a guy like Steve Aoki, which is a minimum $100,000, right? So he was just questioning the trading and insider trading and stuff. Again, not naming his name, and then Dan Kershaw hits him with a defamation. Crenshaw sends a defamation lawsuit, right? And I think one thing, again, I'll give Sean Ryan this. He goes, he's suing me and tells me I need to take down the video, stop talking about it. He just goes, I will not do that. And I was like, that's pretty badass. So, yeah. But now he's getting so much backlash that he had to make a video, and he's like, I didn't really mean to. I was doing so many things trying to help this country. I didn't mean to send a defamation lawsuit. It's like, hey, listen here, dumbass. You just ruined your career, right? What you tried to do is you tried to think that you were bigger than a guy on the internet, and you thought wrong. So he's going to end up dropping this, but this is going to hurt his career a lot. I'm willing to bet.
I don't know. I used to think so, Chris, but I'm always shocked at the 9 lives some of these creeps have.
Yeah.
He's a Republican. I think he's a Republican.
He's a rhino. Yeah. Let's be honest. He's a rhino.
No, he's a rhino. And he's been a problem for the party basically since he got in terms of, not following the majority of the platform and whatnot, siding with a lot of the Democrats, going after Trump with his first term and all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, I think there's a problem. Somebody was saying about MTG also, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I don't know if it's true, but too many of these people get into office and they walk away multimillionaires. Mm-hmm. Okay? And they keep putting it on the stock. Okay. I think we really need to take a look at that. How are these people making their money? What is going on?
I think that, and I've said this before, if you are a politician and you decide to become a politician, either you're not allowed to trade at all, right? Or every trade you make should be public. Every single trade. I think by law you should have to.
I'm not so sure it's just trading. Remember,
absolutely
these
not.
People, they get lobbyists come at them all the time with gifts and this and that meant to, we're offering a free trip. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not saying I know of anything, but I'm really curious, how these people, obviously it's lucrative because they keep running every there's no term limit. So it's definitely, and they pass it on to their children, some of them, like it's a family business. So I think there's some real questions about how we structure pay. And, we can talk about term limits, but I think that, put it this way, we pay for an ethics committee in Congress. I think the Senate has one and the House of Representatives. And I just wonder, what is their role? What is their job?
No clue. Doesn't exist. But what I get out of this is I love how this is how out of touch these politicians are. They thought that they can just hit some guy with a defamation lawsuit and he'd stop. Little did you know, it's Sean Ryan, who's by far one of the biggest YouTubers and has a lot of money and a lot more fans, I would say. A lot more people behind him than Dan Crenshaw, whatever you want to call him. So, yeah, I think this is not going to be good for him.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they luck out and they put the little guy in prison for 11 years. If you were at a thing in January 6th, you're a little guy. When you go after somebody who has a following, sometimes they win. Sometimes they take down the big guys.
Yeah.
But in this case, I find, as hard as it is, what seems to be true, and it harkens back to Christian values. You have to be strong. You have to be right. Know that you're right. And stand your ground.
Yeah.
You could get abused for it, but to your point, this individual has a following, and Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
And didn't do anything wrong. Didn't mention the guy's name. So legally, go ahead, buddy. Come after me.
Yeah, go for it.
I didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I think Crenshaw is dropping the lawsuit. It's like, hey, you've already done the damage, right? So
What? And some of these representatives, they think who the hell they are.
exactly.
I know they have a lot of power. I know they're in a position of power. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you know what, Crenshaw, he's fallen from grace in his own party.
Yeah.
Might as well go join the other party because we don't give a damn about him. And I often wonder, how do these people keep getting elected all the time, especially as a Republican? Don't know the district that well, but still. And he thinks who he is, and because he's had 9 lives, oh, no one's going to touch me. I've done a lot of crappy things, and here I'm still standing. And they take that as a badge of courage or as a pat on the back. But meanwhile, they encounter somebody who says, you know what? You mean nothing to me. I didn't do anything wrong. Puts them in their place.
Yeah. Well, all right, Mother. We just did an hour 16. I don't think there's much left. I might just save some for next week unless some bigger news comes out, because I know that you have a couple more, but our retention rate usually goes down after 33 minutes, so I don't want to do another half hour. So, yeah. But we'll end it there. But yeah, so hopefully we'll do the live podcast next week. And then we can answer any questions, maybe talk about the topics that we talked about this week, maybe elaborate a little bit more. Like, I think we're going to get some Nick Fuentes questions. But
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Started, right?
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but unfortunately, I'm not Jewish, so or I should say unfortunately.
It's 8 nights, right? 8
Yeah.
nights of Hanukkah.
I guess I don't. Let me put it this way: I don't pay attention to it. There's no good way of saying that. Let's be honest. I said, unfortunately, I'm not Jewish, and then I realized, wait, hold on, that's terrible. Right? That's not what I meant. But yeah, so we'll end it there. The only things I have to promote from last week was the podcast. I posted a Game Pass roulette on Thursday, and then the speed run for Resident Evil 7, the main game, I posted yesterday, Saturday, and then this comes out on Monday, Spotify on Tuesday, and then, as I said, next week we have our live podcast. So we'll end it there. Social media, promo code, stream links, Discord, and I will see you guys technically tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So.